Yo, Megan Thee Stallion just got caught in the most humiliating breakup of her entire career, and the internet is feasting on every second of it. The hot girl coach got publicly exposed, emotionally obliterated on a Broadway stage, and now Cardi B is allegedly out here laughing like she's been waiting years for this exact moment. And Cardi really woke up and chose violence against the one woman the culture said was untouchable. Yo, before we go deeper, hit that like and subscribe, 'cause this one gets real ugly. Y'all, sit down, pour something, lock your door, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't just another celebrity breakup. It's the kind of public detonation that only happens once every few years, the kind that rewrites careers, reshapes fan bases, and turns a regular Friday into a cultural event we'll be referencing for the next decade. On April 25, 2026, Megan Pete, the woman the world knows as Megan Thee Stallion, the H-Town hottie, the Houston hot girl herself, walked up to the edge of the internet, looked the entire world dead in the face, and pushed Dallas Mavericks guard Klay Thompson straight off the cliff. She didn't do it through a publicist. She didn't do it through a sources close to the couple leak. She didn't do it through a thinly veiled tweet. Nah. She picked up her phone, opened Instagram stories, and posted a message accusing this man of cheating in front of a view account that, according to people, pushed into the millions before the sun even went down. Let me say that again, so it really lands. She ended a relationship with one of the most decorated guards of his NBA generation, a four-time champion, through an Instagram story. No press release. No cryptic emoji post. No "we have decided to part ways" memo. Just raw, unfiltered, public, irreversible truth, hitting the timeline like a brick through a stained glass window, as detailed in coverage from USA Today. And here's the part that broke my brain. Klay clearly didn't think this through, because within hours, and I mean hours, not days, he was already getting roasted across every corner of the internet as what one headline called the fumble of the century, according to Heavy. Bro, you can't even enjoy your guilty conscience in peace before the memes start dropping. That's how fast the culture moved. Now picture the scene. Megan, already running on fumes after a hospitalization scare just 3 weeks earlier. Klay, freshly off a season grind in Dallas, trying to figure out his footing on a brand new team. The media, sniffing blood in the water like sharks who haven't eaten in a week. And the fans, hottest, Mav supporters, NBA Twitter, hip-hop Twitter, Bayhive lurkers, Bob's curious bystanders, all of them suddenly logged in at the same time. That's the kind of audience most artists pray for during a single release. Megan got it for a breakup post she didn't even want to write. I gotta be honest with y'all. When I first saw the notification, I thought it was a deepfake. I scrolled past it twice. Then my group chat lit up. Then my timeline lit up. Then my Mima's church friend texted me. That's when I knew it was real. Because once the church aunties get the receipts before you do, the story isn't a rumor anymore. It's history. And here's the part that should haunt Klay forever. He didn't get the option to control the narrative. He didn't get the option to spin it. He didn't get the option to call his manager. By the time he probably even saw the post, the screenshot was already in 40 million phones. That's not a breakup. That's a public sentencing, broadcast in real time, and the jury was the entire internet, with reaction roundups already piling up at outlets like E! News. So before we go any further, let me make this crystal clear. This isn't a he said, she said. This is a she said it first, in her words, on her platform, with her audience. And the receipts? The receipts are the part that turned this from gossip into evidence. So lock in, because we're about to crack open the vault. Let me set the table real quick, because the quotes here are wild. Like, screenshotted before her team deletes it wild. In her Instagram story posted on April 25, 2026, Megan didn't hold a single thing back. She wrote, and I'm quoting carefully here because the wording matters, "Cheating, had me around your whole family playing house, got cold feet. Holding you down through all your horrible mood swings and treatment." That quote was first archived and circulated through outlets like E! News before it spread to every corner of the internet. Now listen. When I read this for the first time, I had to put my phone down. I had to walk away. I had to come back. Because she just casually, in the calmest font you've ever seen, told the entire world that this man had her playing wifey at the family dinner table, carving turkey, smiling for pictures, holding hands with his auntie, while he was running game on the side. Klay, my brother. You said what? That's the dumbest flex I've ever seen from an NBA veteran. You really had a Grammy-winning rapper meeting your folks, holding down your moods, riding for you publicly, and you couldn't even lock down basic loyalty? Embarrassing on a generational level. Then she went deeper. Because Megan doesn't just throw punches, she follows up with the combo. According to her own post, she added, "Trust, fidelity, and respect are non-negotiable for me." That line was pulled and amplified across digital outlets including BuzzFeed, and the second I saw it, I knew. That ain't a "we on a break" post. That ain't a "let's work it out in couples therapy" post. That's a "delete my number, block me on 3 platforms, and tell your friends I never existed" post. The deadbolt was thrown, the chain was up, and the welcome mat was set on fire. Now let me put you all onto the Sherri Shepherd moment from her show on April 27, 2026, because this is the clip that broke the culture in half. Sherri said live on air, in front of a national daytime audience, "If a man can cheat on that buddy odi, it's over for us." That soundbite ricocheted across talk shows and social platforms, with clips spreading through aggregators like Facebook and beyond. When I heard this, I laughed. Then I sat in silence. Then I got sad. Then I got mad. Because Sherri put into one sentence what every woman watching was already thinking. If Megan, a Grammy winner, a Time 100 honoree, a pop culture standard, a literal hot girl certified by the U.S. cultural calendar, can get cheated on, what hope does the rest of the world have? That's the line that flipped a celebrity breakup into a national identity crisis. Sherri didn't just react. She built a movement in 14 words. Then comes the Cardi B angle, and you'll already know how I feel. According to a viral Threads post on April 25, 2026, and I want y'all to lock the timing in, a message tied to Cardi's account energy read, "Keep laughing because karma always comes back around harder for the hating asses." That message was screenshot and reshared thousands of times across Threads before any clarification dropped. Now whether you think that was aimed at Megan directly or at some random OPP, the internet decided for itself within 20 minutes. And once the internet decides, bro, that's the verdict. When I saw fans connecting that karma energy to the exact timing of Megan's breakup, I had to do a triple take. I rewound the screenshot like it was a basketball replay. Is Cardi serious right now? You couldn't even let the woman cry first? You couldn't give it 24 hours? That's not karma. That's content scheduling. But Cardi didn't stop there. On her Instagram Live, the Bronx princess allegedly clapped back at Klay hard, with one widely circulated reel quoting her saying, "You a whole clown, Klay, for hurting my sis Megan." That clip made the rounds on Instagram and got pulled into reaction videos faster than the original could trend. Wait, so is Cardi mocking Megan or defending her? And that's the trick. That's the whole sleight of hand right there. Fans can't even agree which Cardi showed up that night. Some say she was throwing icy shade dressed up as solidarity. Others say she went to bat for her sis like a real one. Some say it was both at once, the kind of statement that sounds like a hug and feels like a stab. That right there? That's where the narrative lost the plot, and the internet went into civil war mode. And the topper, the cherry on this drama Sunday, Stephen A. Smith, on First Take aired April 28, 2026, said live on national television, with his finger pointed at the camera, he didn't deserve that. Why we gotta dog the brother out. That clip was dissected wall to wall across outlets like Page 6, and the reaction was instantaneous. Bro said what? Stephen A., the loudest voice in sports media, defending the man who allegedly cheated on a Grammy winner during her hospitalization recovery? Nah. You can't say that on Monday morning television and expect women across America to take you seriously by Tuesday. That's where Stephen A. lost half his audience in one breath, and the comment section turned into a war zone. Now that we got the quotes, let's connect the dots, because the timeline is where this story stops being gossip and starts being a case file. Here's where it gets crazy. Y'all didn't notice this though. That post? It dropped less than 3 weeks after Megan was rushed off a Broadway stage and hospitalized, a moment first detailed in international coverage from BBC. 3 weeks. That's not a long time in heartbreak math. That's barely enough time to recover from a flu, let alone from extreme exhaustion, dehydration, an emotional collapse. So we're not just talking about a breakup. We're talking about a woman who was already medically depleted, physically running on backup batteries, before this man allegedly broke her heart on top of it. The order matters. Hospital first. Heartbreak second. Public collapse third. We all saw this storm building from a mile away, but nobody, not one outlet, not one talk show, not one podcast, wanted to say it out loud while it was happening. That Sherry clip? Aired the same week the Fumble of the Century rant went viral about Klay's career trajectory, with breakdowns running through outlets like heavy. So the cultural conversation flipped in 48 hours. From Klay's a champion lucky to have a, to Klay just torched the best thing he ever had. That's terrible timing. Brew. Career-altering timing. Endorsement-killing timing. Any smart NBA vet with a real PR team would have waited until summer break to handle personal business. You wait for the off-season. You wait until your name's not on the box score every night. You don't blow up your image during a playoff push. But Klay? He let it explode mid-season, mid-playoff push, mid-everything. That's not bad timing. That's a complete absence of strategy. Remember those Cardi posts? They went up while Megan was literally still on stage at Moulin Rouge, wiping tears in front of a packed Broadway house, a moment chronicled in detail by Vulture. Read that again. Slowly. While Megan was getting a standing ovation through tears, the internet was already picking sides. The audience inside the theater was clapping. The audience online was sharpening knives. So Cardi did this right as Megan was on her absolute lowest. That's when you know the energy between these two has never been best friends, no matter how many football videos they posted together back in the day. The optics betray the friendship. The timing betrays the friendship. The internet is loud, but the timing is louder. And here's the deeper layer nobody wants to acknowledge. Megan and Cardi have a long, complicated history dating back to the WAP era. A relationship that's been called everything from sisterhood to silent rivalry, with body language analysis circulating as recently as the pretty and petty moment earlier this year that was dissected across Instagram. Hottest already had the receipts. Hottest already had the timestamps. So when Cardi's karma energy hit social media right after Megan's worst week, bro, the fans connected those dots in real time. The opposition really thought nobody would notice the timing? Come on now. You'll act like the hottest don't have spreadsheets. Then there's the WNBA's Lexi Brown angle, and this one's important because it's the quiet collateral damage. Brown went public on April 27, 2026, denying any involvement with Klay and calling out both parties for not killing the rumor sooner, with her statement covered across outlets including Fox News. That's 3 full days after the breakup post. Klay let an innocent woman's name get dragged for 72 hours before anyone in his camp moved. 3 days, while a professional athlete had her name attached to infidelity rumors at the height of her own season. That's the move of someone who's lost the playbook entirely. Predictable, foolish, lazy, and dangerous, because now Lexi Brown has every right to be furious about being dragged into a mess that wasn't hers. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about the choice of words in Megan's post, and that's a critical mistake. Because this isn't just a breakup post. This is a forensic document. Zoom into ONE phrase, playing house. That's not casual language. That's emotionally loaded, a deliberate, surgical signal to anyone who's ever been hurt before. Playing house implies fake commitment, performative loyalty, an entire lie being staged for the cameras and the family group chat. She didn't say we were dating. She didn't say we were together. She said playing house. That single phrase reframed the entire breakup from celebrity couple split to elaborate fraud exposed. Klay really didn't catch that the whole internet was gonna run with that exact phrase. That's embarrassing on a forensic level. Because once the words playing house hit the timeline, every meme account, every gossip blog, every podcast host, every reaction streamer ran with it. And now those 2 words are stitched to his name forever. Now look at the word she put in quotation marks, cold feet. Why quote ONLY those 2 words? Because she's mocking him. Those are his words being thrown back at him as proof of the lie. When someone weaponizes your own excuse against you in writing, that's not heat of the moment. That's strategic. That's premeditated. That's a closing argument. She's been sitting on those 2 words for who knows how long. If Klay had half a brain and half a memory, he would have noticed his own language was being archived in real time for a moment exactly like this. Every excuse he gave her became evidence. Every text became a deposition. That's what happens when you lie to a wordsmith. Now check the visual forensics from the Moulin Rouge curtain call on April 25, 2026, the same night the post went up. Look at where the camera caught her, in coverage broken down by Entertainment Weekly. She's not wiping tears mid-song. She's not breaking character during a number. She breaks ONLY during the ovation, when the audience is showing her love. That's not random. That's not a coincidence. That's the moment a person realizes they are more loved by strangers than by the one person they trusted. That single moment, that single tear, caught by a camera in a Broadway theater, turned the curtain call into one of the most viral hip-hop adjacent images of 2026, with stills running across Billboard and getting framed as the visual receipt of the entire scandal. Now the audio forensics on Cardi's IG Live energy. Listen to the inflection, and I'm telling y'all, go back and watch it again with the sound up. It wasn't a monologue, it was a calculated rant with pause beats. The clown line lands on a pause, with a kind of delivery that gets dissected in comedy clubs, as analyzed in clip breakdowns circulating on Instagram. That's Cardi the comedian, not Cardi the friend. Comedians know how to set up punchlines. Friends just speak. So when Cardi's defenders say she was supporting Megan, yeah, technically, the literal words supported her. But the delivery had a wink in it. And the wink is what Hottest caught. Hottest don't miss winks. Hottest live for winks. Hottest have an entire database of winks. Pattern forensics, and this is the part that stings the most. Every move Klay's camp has made post-breakup has been loud silence. He went boating, with photos and clips circulating across Complex. Posted himself back on the high seas like a man without a single care, like he didn't just lose the relationship of his lifetime, like the internet wasn't currently dragging his name through every group chat in America. That's not the response of a man who's wrongly accused. A wrongly accused man gives a statement. A wrongly accused man gets a lawyer. A wrongly accused man at least makes one phone call to clarify. That's the response of a man trying to change the visual narrative without addressing the actual narrative. If Klay had half a brain, he'd know that vacation pics 48 hours after a cheating scandal don't read as moving on, they're read as guilty and unbothered. That boat trip didn't save him. That boat trip indicted him. Now let's see how the media covered this, because the framing battle was its own war. The framing battle here is wild because every outlet picked a different lane, and the lane they picked told you everything about who they were trying to protect. The New York Times framed it as a health story first, drama second, keeping the focus on the hospitalization timeline rather than the cheating accusations. Variety took a similar route, leaning into the medical receipts about extreme exhaustion, dehydration, and low metabolic levels. Their framing? Sympathy for Megan. Their angle? Don't blame her for cracking. She was already cracked before this. That's the empathetic lane, and it's the lane that ages well. But Page 6 and Yahoo flipped it the other way, leading their entire coverage with Stephen A. Smith's "He didn't deserve that energy." That framing isn't sympathy. That's a loaded narrative that puts the public airing on trial instead of the alleged cheating. That's where the gender war started in earnest. Some opposition fans are using that exact framing to defend Klay. But those are the same people who thought he was washed up before this scandal even hit, so the credibility ain't there. Then the Mercury News went a completely different direction. They framed the breakup as a rocky history piece, suggesting this wasn't a one-time slip, but a pattern that finally cracked. Their spin. Pattern, not incident. That framing nukes the "he didn't deserve that" defense entirely. Because if there's a pattern, Stephen A's whole take collapses on contact, and his Tuesday morning rebuttal becomes a lot harder to defend. CNN took the audience reaction angle, framing the whole story around fan outrage. Yahoo's disgusting reactions coverage went even harder, framing it as a referendum on how men respond to women's heartbreak. Same event, same week, same set of receipts, and 4 completely different stories depending on which outlet you open first. Now, some people are saying Megan overreacted and should have handled this privately. Klay's defenders are reaching, and I mean stretching like Mr. Fantastic, trying to spin this as TMI on the gram. If you still think he has a leg to stand on after the receipts, the timing, the language analysis, and the WNBA collateral damage, you're not analyzing, You're just biased. Charlamagne Tha God even called the breakup overblown on his platform, with a clip running through outlets like Basketball Network. Brew, you can call it overblown. You can call it dramatic. You can call it too much for the timeline. But you cannot call it inaccurate. The receipts are the receipts, and the timeline is the timeline, and the cameras don't lie. So if overblown is the strongest defense Klay's got, my brother, that's not a defense. That's a white flag. But here's what nobody is saying. Mainstream coverage wants you to believe this is a simple cheating scandal, that Cardi just happened to be online at the wrong time, and that the whole story is a juicy little weekend distraction. Outlets want you focused on Klay's boat trip and Megan's tears. Easy story. Easy clicks. Easy to package between commercials. Move on to the next thing. Here's what they won't tell you. And I mean won't, not haven't gotten to but actively will not say, because saying it out loud breaks the machine. This isn't a breakup. Let me say that one more time for the people in the cheap seats. This isn't a breakup. This is the end of a carefully manufactured untouchable black female superstar archetype that the industry has been protecting, packaging, and profiting from for years. And Cardi B knows it better than anyone, because she lived through her own version of this exact same cycle. Pick one angle. I'm picking psychological warfare, because that's what's actually happening in real time, in front of all of us, while we're being told to look at the boat pics. Megan Thee Stallion has been marketed since Hot Girl Summer as the unbreakable Houston queen, confident, in control, certified, the standard, the brand, the blueprint. That image was an asset, a billion-dollar brand asset, with sponsorships, partnerships, brand deals, and entire marketing campaigns built on it. The second she posts an emotional Instagram story confirming a man cheated on her, that asset takes a market correction in real time. Brand managers are watching their phones light up. Sponsors are checking their morality clauses. Stock watchers in the music industry are quietly recalculating projections for Q2 of 2026. And every shadow rival in the industry knows it. Cardi B isn't dumb. She watched the stock drop in real time, and her karma energy hit at the exact moment the market opened for trading. That's not coincidence. That's not vibes. That's strategy with timestamps. And anyone telling you otherwise is selling you a bridge. Cardi is playing chess. Megan just got knocked off her square, and the entire culture is being told it was an accident. And here's the part that makes me sick to my stomach. The industry has been here before. They did this to Whitney Houston when she fell for Bobby Brown. They did this to Mariah Carey in the early 2000s during her glitter era. They did this to Mary J. Blige with KCI. They did it to Janet at the Super Bowl. They did it to Britney in 2007. The blueprint is older than hip-hop itself. Build a black woman up to untouchable. Celebrate her at every award show. Put her face on every magazine. Then wait for one human moment of vulnerability. One tear, one breakdown, one bad decision. And turn that vulnerability into a spectacle that keeps her relevant only as a victim. Megan just got plugged into that machine. The conveyor belt is moving. The cameras are rolling. The headlines are pre-written. And nobody in the industry actually called it out, because the entire economy depends on those cycles continuing. Klay is just the foot soldier here, the tip of the spear, the disposable name in the headline. The real opposition is the system itself, the structure, the apparatus. And the system is winning, like it always does, until somebody decides to break it. But here's the layer that's gonna make some people mad, and I'm gonna say it anyway. Cardi's karma comments only made sense to fans because there's unfinished business between these two going back years. Receipts. Subliminals. Side eyes at award shows. Award show seating arrangements that looked like Cold War diplomacy. Those Sherry Shepherd quotes about if he cheated. That same logic applies to Cardi's own marriage history, and Cardi knows that energy can flip back on her in a heartbeat with one wrong move. So why poke the bear now? Why this week? Why during the hospitalization recovery? Because if Megan loses the untouchable crown, there's only one black female rapper sitting at the very top of the throne, and her name starts with AC. That's not a friendship being tested. That's a vacancy notice being filed. And Cardi just turned in the paperwork while Megan was still crying on Broadway. Cardi is a puppet in some of this, the label energy, the algorithm energy, the timing energy. But make no mistake, she's a willing puppet. She knew what she was doing when she posted. She knew what she was doing when she went live. She knew what the timestamps would look like. And the silence from real allies in the industry, that tells you everything you need to know about who has the leverage right now. Where are the rappers tweeting support for Megan? Where's the "We Got You" sis wave? Where are the story reposts? Crickets. Pin drop silence. Because Cardi's gravity in the industry right now is bigger than anyone wants to publicly admit, and nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to be on the wrong side of it. Loyalty is one thing. Cardi's suicide is another. And here's the cruelest part of this whole thing. Megan's hospitalization 3 weeks before this should have triggered the industry's protection mode automatically. A young black artist diagnosed with extreme exhaustion, dehydration, and low metabolic levels, with details circulated in regional outlets like KSLA, is a flashing red flag in any reasonable management structure. That's a pause the press tour diagnosis. That's a cancel the next 4 interviews diagnosis. That's a hand her a glass of water and a vacation diagnosis. Instead of slowing the press machine, they sped it up. They cranked the dial. Now her cheating scandal is competing for headlines with her medical history, and the algorithm is feasting on both at once. That's not bad luck. That's not a coincidence. That's a system that never planned to let her rest in the first place. Rest doesn't sell. Resilience does. And resilience requires pain as the setup. Klay thought he was just dipping out of a relationship. Bro, you walked into a cultural war zone and took the L for an entire industry's worst impulse. Klay is on the losing side of history here, whether he knows it or not. We've seen this exact pattern before, dozens of times, across decades. Bobby Brown, KCI, Future, all of them. The man becomes a footnote. A trivia question. A remember when punchline. The woman becomes a symbol. A movement. A documentary subject. And Klay just signed up to be 2026 footnote, voluntarily, with no negotiation. And that's the truth they won't tell you. That's the part that gets edited out of the network coverage. That's the angle that doesn't make it into the morning shows. So what happens next? Let's forecast. Here's what's most likely to happen, and you'll save this script and come back to it in 90 days. Megan is gonna take a step back from the public eye for at least 30 days, and watch how that silence becomes the most powerful PR move of her entire career. She's not gonna post. She's not gonna respond. She's not gonna do a sit down. She's gonna let the wound breathe, and the internet is gonna fill the silence with its own narrative. That's how this plays out. When Megan goes quiet, Klay is gonna look desperate screaming into the boating pic void. Every yacht photo, every gym selfie, every live your best life caption is gonna read his cope. Because silence from her side amplifies every move on his side, and every move on his side starts to look guilty by default. The narrative is gonna shift from she crashed out on the gram to she pulled back like a queen on her own terms, with her own dignity. That pivot is gonna happen within 2 news cycles. And the internet will move on within a news cycle. Sure. But Klay's next interview is gonna be the most awkward thing in NBA media history. Mark my words. Somebody on a podcast is gonna ambush him within 2 weeks. Maybe a Pat McAfee guest spot. Maybe a Shannon Sharpe sit down. Maybe a press scrum after a meaningless April game. But somebody's gonna catch him slipping, and his answer is gonna make TMZ for a week straight. When that ambush happens, Klay's gonna stutter. He's gonna deflect. Somebody's gonna catch him on camera changing the subject to basketball, blinking too fast, fixing his hat, looking off camera for an exit. The clip is gonna go nuclear within the hour. It's gonna get a meme treatment by midnight. It's gonna get a remix by morning. He's not built for this kind of media pressure. He's used to post-game presses about pick and rolls, not relationship interrogations from a co-host with TikTok ambitions. The silence from his camp right now is gonna hurt him 1,000 times more than any diss track could, because silence forces the audience to write the script, and the audience's script is rarely kind. Now, if Megan does respond on wax instead, if she puts this man on a song, it's over. Cancel the season. Pack it up. We've seen what Megan does in the booth when she's emotionally locked in. The plan B energy. The hiss energy. The body energy. Klay is not ready for what's coming if she takes this seriously. There will be bars. There will be ad-libs. There will be a music video shot in a single afternoon that becomes the visual of the year. There will be a viral moment that lives in hip-hop history forever, slotted right next to the all-time response records. Is about to become a punchline on every worst NBA breakup list for the next decade, every off-season content drought, every slow news Tuesday in July. Mark my words. NBA blogs are gonna milk this for content well into the 2030s. And if Cardi keeps poking, watch the hottest mobilize like a digital militia. The hottie army has been undefeated in viral warfare since 2019. They don't lose. They don't tie. They just escalate. Etsy curses are already trending. Witches' to-do lists are already circulating, with reaction roundups appearing on outlets like Bet. If Cardi makes one more move, one more cryptic post, one more live appearance, she's not getting roasted by Megan. She's getting roasted by an entire fan base that's been waiting for an excuse since 2020. Cardi really thinks she's playing a clean hand here? She's playing checkers while Megan's fan base is playing 4D chess on Twitter.com. The hottest have memes preloaded. The hottest have receipts archived in Google Drive folders. The hottest have search terms ready. This isn't a fan base. This is a research department. Looking at the bigger picture, this moment is gonna be the cultural turning point where the industry gets exposed for how it treats black women in heartbreak. 5 years from now, Megan's playing house post is gonna be in journalism textbooks as the moment a celebrity took her own narrative back, in her own words, on her own platform, without permission from a single PR firm. Media studies professors are gonna teach this. Communications majors are gonna write theses on this. And Klay? He's gonna be the cautionary tale every NBA media trainer uses for the next 20 years. Don't be a Klay is gonna be a real, literal piece of advice given to rookies in their orientation packets. That's his legacy now. He took an L so big it's gonna outlive his Hall of Fame jersey ceremony. People are gonna remember the breakup before they remember the championships, because the breakup happened in our timelines and the championships happened on cable. And the Cardi factor? This is gonna be the moment people remember as when Cardi's Queen of Empathy image officially died on impact. She had a chance to be the bigger person. She had a chance to send a private DM. She had a chance to say nothing at all. And she fumbled it harder than Klay fumbled the relationship. Cardi is watching the culture move on toward a new generation of female rappers, and there's nothing she can do about it. Not with a feature, not with a remix, not with a karma post. The Glowrillas, the Sexereds, the Ice Spices, the next wave we haven't even named yet, they are not picking sides in this beef. They are not commenting. They are not posting. They are watching the throne empty itself out in real time, and they are sharpening their own crowns. Whatever happens, one thing's clear. Klay already lost. Cardi miscalculated. The industry got exposed, and Megan Thee Stallion is about to come back stronger than any of them imagined. The hottie comeback is coming. The next chapter is loading. And when she returns, she's not coming back as the girlfriend, the patient, or the heartbroken woman. She's coming back as the receipt keeper, the narrative holder, the one who took the worst week of her year and turned it into the foundation of her next decade. And y'all are gonna be there for every second of it. Stay tuned. Hot is up. And that's the part they don't want you thinking about. Because this story, it's not over, not even close. Every move they make now is being watched, recorded, and saved. So if you thought this was crazy, wait till the next drop. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. You already know how we do.